Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, depending on where you are in the globe. We're so excited to have Aiza Coronado here with us today for the first episode of The Life Cyclist. Welcome, start, bring your notes. We're going to look close to you so that you can take notes, ask questions at the end of this conversation. We're going to have a Q&A happening here all the time. So please feel free to bring all of your doubts, and let's welcome Aiza onto the stage. Hi, Aiza.
Hey
How are you
guys.
doing?
Hi guys. Hey Mariana, I'm good. How about you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you so much for
Mhm.
joining us at such a late time for you. I know it's not easy at the end of the day,
Yeah.
but thank you for bringing all the good energy. We've been
Yeah.
talking a little bit on the backstage,
Right.
so apparently she had a great day so far. So let's get started. I have a bunch of questions to you, so I
Yes.
really want to jump right in. So first of
Sure.
all,
Let's get
we're
it
gonna
on.
share,
hmm
yeah, we're gonna share about this specific experience that you had leading an onboarding revamp that resulted
hmm
in twice as much revenue for this company. And
Yeah.
I just wanted to get to know a little bit about what this company is all about, what type of it,
hmm
and what type of growth format they're in, and just if you can give us just a little bit of context.
Yeah. So for this company, they started out as like PLG. So when I joined the team, they were already like converting users, but not too much, and the emails weren't exactly there. And here they start with a limited free trial, 14-day free trial, and then you could like choose a plan after that. So it's basically free to paid and B2B SaaS. It's a B2B SaaS. Yeah.
Cool. Nice. And what was
Mm-hmm.
the situation like when you first took on this challenge? What key data points
Mm-hmm.
helped you kind of assess what was going on and get major insights?
Yeah. So when I joined, there were only like super few emails. So they only have like the welcome email and of course the trial sending email. So they need help with that. And I think this is common like to most of the SaaS. So there's basically no nurture emails whatsoever in there. And as for like the data points, I like the founder would just grant me, access to the email platform, and I would be the one to, dig into the data. So I just took what they have. It's not complete, but it's okay to start with. So the plan types are there, and then like the signups are there, but not too many actions are being tracked. Yeah.
Okay. So what are the main data points that
Mm-hmm.
you looked at? Signups? What else?
Mhm. Yes. So I was looking for signups and then also like the plan types. Yeah, if
How
there are
many
free
people
users.
in each
Yeah,
tier?
how many people?
Mhm.
Yes, exactly. If they are on the basic plan or the enterprise plan or whatever name they have for their plans. And the one more important thing that I would look into are like the actions inside the app, since in onboarding, the onboarding sequence would largely depend on those. Like, what are they supposed to do when they sign up to the app? So that data is kind of missing when I first started.
So I didn't really know what
Yeah.
they did as when they first got in.
Yeah. Yes. Like only a few. And I had to request some more actions to be tracked because I wouldn't have like the insight or to work on which emails. So yeah.
Okay. So your insight was
Yeah.
like, we need more data.
Yes, yes. I'm a huge data like geek or whatever. I need them. Yeah.
Awesome. So what was your
Mm-hmm.
approach after like understanding this context? Could you
Mm-hmm.
share your main maybe three steps to make the
Mm-hmm.
first impact in those numbers?
Yes. So whenever I start like an email or life cycle project, so I always like go back to my three-step plan. So the first one is of course to understand their entire process and how the user sign up, what is the conversion like, what is the sales like, so how does it happen. And as I learned that, so I would also map out their entire customer journey. But for starters, with this company, since I started like a freelancer, up until now, I'm still a freelancer. So I have to like look at the first few stages first before we get to the end part of the journey. So I look at onboarding, sign up. And then the second one is I figure out the gap, like what do they have in place? What do they need? What are the emails that they are lacking? So I
Mhm.
identify those gaps. And only after knowing which gaps are present, so I would, plan out the entire email onboarding journey along with the in-apps. So I do mostly emails, but then I also like do in-app chats to up the conversions. So those are the three steps. So again, first, I would understand customer, their user and customer journey, and then I would identify the gaps in the communications, and then the third one, I would map out my proposal for the emails. That's it.
Amazing. Yeah, that makes so much
Yeah,
sense. And how long did
yeah.
you spend in each of those steps? Also, I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
know who were your main stakeholders during that process?
Yeah. Yeah. So for the first one in understanding, so this one, it really depends on the SaaS, but this particular client, they have a really straightforward SaaS, which does like one thing, and it's like a focus on one thing. So whenever I sign up, it's easy to figure out what I need to do. I just need to, like, for this one, I just need to search for prospects first. So that one. So in order to understand, apart from talking to the founder, I would also sign up and experience the current journey myself, so I could take notes. So that's the first one. So it would take like 1 to 3 weeks, depending on how complicated the software is. And then the second part would be, figuring out the gaps. So since right now I already have like a framework, or like I've done this a couple of times that I've developed my own framework. So it's now faster, which only takes like 1 to 2 weeks. And then the third one would be to plan out the emails, so this would take another like 2 weeks also. So this is just planning the messages, not necessarily, writing the emails, because that would take much longer. But the planning part is super quick now, since I have like a guide already that I've developed. So just 2 weeks. Yeah.
I'm curious about that guy, but we'll get him more in depth a little bit later. I kind of
Yeah.
wanted to know about
Hmm.
the first part, like mapping the user journey. What kind of challenges do
Hmm.
you usually face when you start doing
Hmm.
that? And do you have a framework for that?
Yeah. So the challenge usually is, since this client was a startup, so there was basically no documentation. But yeah, I thrive in startups. So I'd rather like start something. So I started the like documentation of the entire process. So there was like nobody handed me like a handout or something. I have to figure out the entire thing myself. So that was the challenge. And sometimes, the process in a startup, right? Like everything is super new and all. So sometimes there was no set, like definite process. So I have to ask, like, when does CS come in? Is this process owned by sales? So sometimes the founder is not also sure about the process. So I'll have to, talk to a couple of stakeholders, like customer support and also the sales team. Like, when do you come in and get the lead? Which leads do you get? So that, I know how to segment the entire thing and plan the entire thing. So definitely that was the most challenging part so far.
Like
And for the
talking to
framework,
everybody.
yeah, talking to
Get
everybody, and right. And
I
sometimes,
always like to say that even when there's no data, there is data, but it might
yeah,
be in someone's
right.
mind, and then you just
Yeah,
gotta go and talk to them.
yes. And to dig it up, you need to set a meeting, or,
Yeah.
say hi on Slack. And yeah, so that was the challenging part.
And then
Yeah.
I also asked about a framework. Would you like to share a
Yeah.
little bit about it with us?
Yes. So I figured that whenever I do this, I always start with, the levels or the phases of the life cycle. So I just created like a spreadsheet. I don't know if we're going to show it now or later. But yeah, I have this guide where I just label first column: acquisition, activation, adoption, conversion, retention, and advocacy. The steps to the life cycle. And then I would just ask them, like, if what how do you like how do the new user sign up? And then I would just you know take notes on my spreadsheet. So
Mm-hmm.
this would clearly show them that if they have a process already in place, because sometimes they can't answer me, like if there is an existing process or not. So sometimes I have to double check on that. So the
Mm-hmm.
guide has been helpful so far in just figuring out um, what their current customer or user journey is like. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. I can totally imagine that. I've done an approach somewhat like that. And in certain points, one thing that I've tried
Yeah.
before too is getting a group of people together instead of like having a conversation with
Mm-hmm.
just one person, get like two or three from maybe the same team, because
Right.
then some people
Mm-hmm.
remember parts that other people don't with while they're talking,
Right.
and then sometimes it can go a little bit more in
Mm-hmm.
depth when the team is a little bit bigger, right? But yeah,
Yeah.
how many
Yeah.
conversations did you have for this customer until you could have a clear map?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so luckily when I started, so they were like a startup, so there was no VP of sales yet. So it's just a founder and a customer support who has been there the longest. So and he's also Filipino, so like it's easy to, hey, could you help me out here? So yeah, that was super
Okay,
helpful. Yeah,
awesome, really cool.
yeah,
And
yeah.
all right, so that was the first step. Then you would go into
Mm-hmm.
making to planning all the to
Yeah.
understanding and then planning the emails and messages.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me a little bit about how many emails were there in the initial flow? And then when you actually started building
Mm-hmm.
them, how
Mm-hmm.
many you had running and then how many you have running right now?
Yeah. So when I remember when I was starting out, I think there was less than five. It's,
Mhm.
welcome email and all. But now I think we're on to like almost 60 evergreen emails just for the like onboarding and stuff. And we also have like 38, around 38, I think, evergreen like in apps or chats that pop up on the website. So that could,
Wow.
I don't know, that's a lot. I don't know. But that is not all. Like there are also weekly newsletters and seasonal campaigns. So
Mhm.
the count is not yet included in there. Yeah.
Okay. And then how many emails does a customer
Mm-hmm.
of this SaaS business expect to get
Mm-hmm.
like every week?
Mm-hmm. Oh, they would only at the start when you sign up. So probably you'd get
Mhm.
like 3 to 5, depending
Yeah.
on like your actions. So it's not like a
Mhm.
lot. So other founders would, be really shocked and no, I don't want to send that much emails. But this is segmented, so not everyone will get the same set of emails. Not everyone will get like 60 emails in
Mhm.
like 1 month or something. So they are all like behavior triggered, so they will not be like smothered by emails. Yeah.
Mhm. Cool. And can you tell me a bit
Mm-hmm.
about those segmentation groups
Mm-hmm.
as well that
Mm-hmm.
you have? What are
Yeah.
they like right now? What kind of cohorts you work with?
Yeah, so I've been with them for like over 4 years already. So there are a lot of segments, but the major ones, there are like low intent MQLs, like those who downloaded ebooks, those who subscribe to the blog, um, lead magnets templates, something like that. So, and then that's the first one. The second one are high intent MQL, since my client has like an enterprise side to it. So there would be demos, and then there would be like the warm leads that SDRs has already, reached out to. So sometimes I would email them too. I would get requests to like create a communication for them. So those who have initiated also a chat. So those are high intent MQLs. And then of course we have the signups, the new ones, those who just signed up for the app. And I would even divide those signups into two. So there would be active and inactive users depending on their actions. And then of course we have the paying users also, those who are actively paying and using the SaaS. And lastly, we have the expired trials, those who have tried the app but didn't convert. So we still have them, and I would still send emails to them. So again, we have five. We have the low intent MQLs, the high intent MQLs, signups, paying users, and then the expired trials. Yes.
Okay. Now I'm curious, like, how do you tell the difference between low intent and high intent?
So low intent are more of like interested in knowledge only. They just want to solve their problem, maybe with an idea or like a knowledge um, or an insight. But high intent, they are kind of product aware already. They want to learn more about your app. So they want to schedule demos. They want to talk to SDRs right now, or they just are asking for pricing. So they have like a signal to buy. So that's like the difference.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. And then from
Mm-hmm.
active and inactive, is it like how many times they go
Mm-hmm.
into the platform? How
Yes,
often?
that is one, but I usually go in depth. So like the actions inside the app, like I identify like at least three actions inside the app. Like for example, when you sign up to Gmail, the actions that you need to do inside the app is like create an email, send an email, add the contact. So I track those behaviors inside the app. And then those who have, keep on repeating, like they keep on, for example, writing an email, then they are considered active. And those who are inactive, they haven't done anything inside the app, just sign up, and they forgot about the app, so they are kind of inactive. So yeah, hope that explains it. Yeah,
It does. And how
great.
do you plan those emails and notifications to make sure that you
Mm-hmm.
have a clear vision for all the logic behind them?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So at first, I was really focused just on the onboarding. So I would, just map out the emails for example, for the 14 days. But as I grew here in this like service, so I already have like the worksheet. Probably I would share it later. So that I divide the worksheet into like five, or was it six? What we have, yeah, six. So we have acquisition, activation, adoption, and all that. Then I would identify like the customer journey, and then each like step there. So it would make sense later on with an example. But yeah, each sequence there will have like counterpart, an email sequence or an email flow for them. So that's how I plan it. And I think it also comes with experience and practice, that I could now see the plan um, from a bird's eye view, if you could put it that way,
Mm-hmm.
because now I have already the idea. So I don't just focus on one part of the customer journey. So I always make sure that, for example, I can foresee stuff. So I'm like, for example, in the next 3 months, maybe we need to add additional emails once we track this, or once this happens. So I already have that, like, it comes with experience. But yeah, in short, I have a worksheet that will guide me, and I could show you later on, so at least they have an idea. And also there are 4 rules that I follow whenever I plan those sequence. So do you want me to share it right now?
Yeah, yeah. Do you
Okay,
have,
okay.
can you see the button where it says present?
Hmm. Oh, okay. So I could share the workflow, my spreadsheet. Let me see. Share screen. Okay, there you go. Can you see my screen? I hope I'm sharing the right screen.
Yeah.
Can you see?
Yes, you are.
Okay,
I can.
there you go. Okay, so if you can see this, and if it's, I don't know if it's super small, but I'm just gonna zoom. But maybe we'll take
Mm-hmm.
one with a example so it's clearer. So this is how I usually plan. So I, I get the client on a call, and then I would ask them, how do you, like, for example, how do you acquire leads Then they would tell me all the sources. So they host webinars, they have lead magnets, they have newsletter opt-ins. So I would list them down here. And then for activation, so this is like the default onboarding. And then
Mm-hmm.
for adoption, we have the extended user onboarding and the behavior triggered emails. So these are like my default. Like this is already my code. It has already my system. But the goal here for the onboarding emails is just to activate the users, meaning you don't sell to them right away. And then adoption is, users like they use one day, they sign up for your app, and then the next week they forget about it.
Mm-hmm.
So that shouldn't happen. So that's why I usually have like an extended user onboarding, just to let them know that, hey, you still signed up to your SaaS. Maybe you took a vacation. Um, let's introduce you to more like case studies or features. So that's
Mm-hmm.
the adoption. And then once, like for example, the trials ended, so they need to, you know upgrade, right? So there are upgrade emails or sales emails. And then after they convert, of course, we have again customer onboarding emails, which are like user onboarding emails, but now they are paying and you have to introduce like all the features to them. Then for
Mm-hmm.
retention, upsells and cross sells. And for, of course, advocacy, so we have, if you want to get reviews, case studies, or ask for referrals, so it falls down here. So usually, I'd ask the client if they already have this emails in place and how they acquire leads, and if they have like something different that they do for their SaaS. So I can adjust this email planner for them. But basically, this is like the plan.
This is great. This is definitely a great over like a great place to go to when
Hmm.
you want to check out how
Yeah.
you want to get like a full picture of what's going on. This is really
Yes.
good. Yes, thank you
Yes.
for sharing that with us.
All right. So I'm gonna stop sharing. Right.
Cool, thank you. I have a question that is about
Mm-hmm.
results actually. So after
Oh,
doing all
okay.
of that,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of results did you see?
Mm-hmm. So, okay, I gotta be honest. In the first year, like, I really don't have an idea of the MRR because I was just starting out. But after like year one, I started like I got curious. I tracked the MRR. So at year one, I've learned that I have like gotten, for example, a base MRR. So after year
Mhm,
two, we have doubled that base MRR. And
mhm,
year two actually is our greatest growth. So we started doubling the MRR. And towards the end of the year, we even reached like 5 times that MRR. And then because of the additional campaigns, I could talk about probably like the idea of how it got there. But yeah, do you want me like probably to share how?
of course.
Okay, so for year two, right? So we 2x the MRR because we started revising the onboarding that I did on the first year. So what I
Mhm,
did there was I got like insight from our first onboarding data, and um, it's really simple. I took like the features that the paid users are using that the free users aren't. So I have like already an idea of what features would make free users somewhat upgrade. And then I took those features and I bumped them up in the onboarding email. So I think that's how we 2x the MRR. And also during that time, we were like experimenting with a bunch of stuff. Like we have already started newsletters already. So that could contribute to the 2x MRR. And then towards the end of the year, where we 5x the MRR, we started tapping the other segments. So we also did like a Black Friday campaign for the expired trials. So that was additional sales campaigns. And we also have, I think we repurposed a couple of YouTube videos and started warming up the leads also. So we got a couple of conversions from those um, website leads. who didn't sign up, but we managed to, talk to them. So that's how we got those access in MRR.
All
Yeah.
right. Okay, so you shared a lot in this one. So
Yeah.
let me just share what I understand and understood from all of it.
Mm-hmm.
So you revamped this first
Yes.
onboarding flow that you created a few
Mm-hmm.
times after you created it. So
Yeah.
how
Every
often do you do
year.
it? Every
Yeah.
year?
Every
Okay.
year. At least.
And then I'm curious. So you mentioned that you for one of those in the second year you created
Uh-huh.
you kind of understood what were the features that your active users were using the most, and you
Mm-hmm.
brought those
Mm-hmm.
features into the onboarding flow,
Yeah.
right? So that
Yeah.
you would get people like almost kind of like share the best of the best that you have
Yes.
within the platform to people that
Mm-hmm.
just joined.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Correct.
Awesome. That is such a great insight. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
curious about the coming onboarding revamps. Like, where do you go
Mm-hmm.
for insight? Like, what kind of data are you looking at? And what kind of
Mm-hmm.
changes did you do? Like, you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned that one. Anything else?
Yes. So the first one is like really the features. So I
Hmm.
have to really do that because that like the product is the marketing, right? So it's the major one. And then the second one would be like the email format. We experimented a lot with that. So we have
Mm.
plain text emails, and then there are those like e-commerce inspired emails where there are images, right? But for my client, we did a lot of plain text because we figured and data told us that that one has like more conversions, more engagement. So
Hmm.
yeah, I also have to like shorten some emails because at first they were kind of long. But yeah, for SaaS, what works is like short, punchy, and just give me the value, something like that. So yeah, those format. So again, features, what we featured in each email, and the formats were also huge for us. And yeah, I think that was it for year two. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So if you could give people an advice on what they could
Mm-hmm.
do for their own
Mm-hmm.
to kind of like revamp or tweak their own onboarding flows,
Mm-hmm.
what would be the three things that you tested and experimented with? Could you just maybe like
Mm-hmm.
go through
Yeah.
those three ones again?
Yeah. So the first device that or the first area that I want you to look at are the activation stats. Like
Mm-hmm.
behavior tracking is huge, especially on onboarding, because you would want to know like if your users are really, um, exploring the app, and there are certain features that would convince free users to upgrade, so you should find that, or what they call like the aha moment in the app. So you should figure out like how many searches, like, or how many logins did they do. So you have to like dig on a lot of data. And then the second one would be like to experiment with your email format. So you could experiment with HTML, with images, and with GIFs. So that also works for us. Or you could also use plain text ones, plain text
Mm-hmm.
emails. Yeah. And then the third one would be um, one experiment that yielded me great um, like results on the clicks was to really experiment with the messaging or like the topic that I'm going to like give to each user. So for example, in my client's niche, I figured cold calls. When I sent that email about cold calls or cold emails, the clicks would just spike up like templates, um, cold calling guides. So those are like the hot topics for them. So yeah,
Mm.
more than A/B testing the subject line. So those three that I've suggested, they would do more, yield more results.
Hmm. So you
Yeah,
also used
yeah,
email to see what piqued your customers'
yeah,
interest, so to learn more about
yeah,
them.
yes. And it changes per segment. So I have to analyze per segment. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So those are experiments that
Mhm.
worked out. Could you share any
Yeah.
experiment that did not quite work out the way you wanted or that ended up with
Hmm.
results that were not what you were looking for?
Yeah. Like there was this time, I think it was this year, that I've experimented with a lot of, subject line,
Mhm.
and it really yielded like no significant difference between the two emails. It
Mhm.
felt like doing nothing, doing a lot of work but getting nothing.
Mhm.
So that one, like only subject lines. When you just test subject lines, they won't do much, I guess, just in my opinion. So
Mhm.
yeah, that one was didn't work for me. And I've been like struggling with it for like months.
Oh no.
So yeah, yeah. And then like the client was, can you tell me why we're not like getting more clicks or conversions? So I had to dig a lot of data and um, do more experiments to yield some results.
Cool. Okay. Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And what is your experimentation process like right now?
All right. So my experimentation for the major flows, like the onboarding. So since those are huge, like a lot of work, so I would only change that, like the flow and all, um, once or twice a year, or whenever there is a change in the process or product that would
Mhm.
require us to overhaul everything. Like for example, when we need to add, um, if we need to allow users to try the tool without a credit card. So
Mhm.
that segment of users will need, different set of emails. So then I'd have to revamp it. So for major flows like that, it's really a lot of work. So that's only 1 to 2 years. But for monthly or weekly experiments, then we could do with just the topics, and
Mhm.
also the flow. And the flow is a major one. Like this year I've like discovered that when you change flows, or you change like the idea or the messaging, when you like do a funnel inside an email, I don't know if the audience would get that, but when you take them to point A to point B, and then you um just configure the flow inside the email, so that does a lot of changes in the behavior of the user. So I would experiment a lot on that.
Can you
So
share an example of what you mean
oh
with
yeah,
that?
yes, an example. So um because the client was looking for conversions, right? And with every newsletter that we send, our CTA would just be like read our blog. Of course, it's like more copy centric choice of words, but then the CTA is just plain and simple read our blog. But read our blog is just that would yield no conversion because you just want them to read. So what I did was I just turned that read our blog as like a subtext somewhere in the email, but I changed the main CTA to a conversion inclined one. Like for example, if you want to achieve what the blog is um, suggesting you to do, or what our tool or how our tool could help you achieve this thing, then upgrade. So that was the main CTA. So when we did that, we got conversions. Our newsletter finally
Mm.
had conversions. It's just not go to our blog, read our blog, subscribe to our newsletter. And I think that was, I don't know, my greatest discovery of 2024. Just for me. So it was, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, for every SaaS emails also that I receive, the CTA would just be like read our blog or listen to our podcast. But why not, add a conversion inclined CTA there? Because it really does up conversion. As long as you message, or like the copywriting is there and you're not really moving away from the topic. So I think that's okay. And it worked.
Yeah.
So yes. Yeah.
And especially if you're sharing like case studies and kind of bottom of
Yeah.
the funnel kind of content on your newsletter.
Right. Yes. Yes. But you'd be
Hmm.
surprised when I did this for like tofu or top of the funnel and I
Mhm.
incorporated this experiment into the blogs, we're getting conversions also on the blogs. So it doesn't hurt to
Mm.
be, to sell uh, once in a while. Yeah.
Mhm. It's more like to
Yeah.
incentivize decision, right? Because you're not pushing
Yes.
anybody. You're just inviting them to
Yeah.
know more.
Yes. And you're providing value, so you're not going to be guilty of asking them to upgrade because you already like show them a tip or gave them insight. So yeah, and we don't see a lot of unsubscribes also or spam. So I think that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that is okay. Cool. Thank you for sharing
Hmm.
that.
Sure.
All right. And what is one piece of advice that you can share with folks that are looking into
Hmm.
getting into doing more experiments
Hmm.
and iterating and like so that they can actually find those sweet spots?
Hmm. Yeah. So aside from, architecturing it strategically using like the worksheet, just look at the big picture first. I think the one advice would be to look at data for me because back when I was stuck, so like I only kept like the insights in my head, but once I plotted and really did the plotting of the graphs and everything, then I was able to spot like a pattern and we were able to increase the clicks. So data
Mhm.
can tell a lot for you, especially if you're a email marketer or a life cycle. So
Mhm.
you can't strategize without data because that would be, I don't know, that would not be efficient or effective. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, so you
Yeah.
got your data in place. What is next? What
Yeah.
would be an advice for people
Um,
who already have their data in place?
oh, just look at it because a lot of people I know they have data, but they don't use it. So yeah, and if they need help with their data, then they should really find like a certain person from their team to, hey, can you look at this? What insight can we get, and what campaigns can we um like do from this data? Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. So
Hmm.
set a time slot maybe every week where they can
Yes.
like
Hmm.
look at it.
Right.
All right. I love
And
that
document
the
it.
advice. Yeah, oh, and document the insights.
Yes, and what I do is like I track my changes. Like for example, I did this on this month,
Hmm.
and then so that when I plot and then there's a spike, I could trace back like what did I do last month that yielded this, or what were the changes that I did that could have contributed to this result. So
Hmm.
tracking of data and the results is important. Yeah,
Nice. That makes sense.
yeah, yeah,
Awesome. All right. We're heading to the end of my questions. I do
yeah.
have still a few. So, but I kind of wanted to ask
Mhm.
you about other companies doing a great job on onboarding. So, who do you look up
Mhm.
to?
Yeah, so I'm basing my answers based on memory that really made the onboarding that made a mark in my on me. So the first one is Sansama. I don't know, they are like a to-do list, a productivity app. So they have a really good onboarding. And they I think they both have a mobile and web app. And then the
Mhm.
second one would be Trello. So because like there are SaaS that are like you need to add a lot of data first for it to make sense. Like for example, this is project tool, but once you get in, you can do nothing if you don't input a lot of data. So Trello is one of those tools, and Trello like gives you like a ready-made board that you can play with. So you can skip the inputting of data because that would take you time, and then you can just play with it. So you can easily get like the value right away without doing a lot of work. And then the third one would be the app that I'm using right now. It's Duolingo. So my kid is pushing me to learn Japanese with him. And then the Duolingo onboarding was on point. Like I think I can't stop. And I'm actually on my 18th day streak. So I'm
Woo.
learning from them too. Like if I can use the app every day for 18 days. what are they, what are they doing, so that I can also apply it to my own clients.
Mm-hmm. And does
Yeah.
Duolingo also send
So
you
those three:
emails?
send so much, shallow. Yeah.
Because it's
Oh, a
mainly like a
lot.
mobile
Like
app,
when I
right?
look
So I
back,
wonder. Hmm.
yes, yes, yes. Emails, right? So yeah, actually, I taken a look today just to compare it to my own. But I've gotten, I think, 38 emails in the last 30 days, because I've
Oh,
started
wow.
using it like September 14th. But that's a lot, right? But I haven't unsubscribed, and probably that's one reason why I'm using it every day, because I keep on getting reminded, and it also nudges me whenever my kid is like nudging me on the app, or like, hey, your kid has surpassed you on Duolingo, so the challenge is there. And I love getting those emails. So not
Mm-hmm.
really, they're not really a lot when you think about it, right? Like, I'm getting one to two emails a day from them, but some are transactional, meaning I only get them when there's a certain happening inside my app. For example, when my friends give me a kudos or something like that. So it's really relevant. So just okay for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. And how do you
Hmm.
see interactive emails impacting lifecycle marketing?
Yeah. So interactive emails, I think they are my wish list, because when I do onboarding emails, and I think their impact are gonna be huge, because when I do onboarding emails, I have to link like to a certain page in the app, and then the user has to click that, and to they need to find, like, for example, the star somewhere in the app, and I even have to show the picture. So that's a lot of things that I need the user to do, right? So click the app,
Mm-hmm.
go to the app, find this and that. But if we have like interactive emails, if they just click, for example, the star inside their email, and then the job would
Mm-hmm.
be done. So
Mm-hmm.
imagine like the friction that is eliminated, right? And it would also give me a huge win, so that it's like instant conversion right then and there. I don't have to like teach the user so much and what to do. So it's all there in their inbox. So yeah, I think they're gonna be huge, especially for yeah, for what I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that happen.
Mhm.
It's almost like becoming more like Google, where, email becomes
Yeah.
a place where you can really engage with things, interact and comments. There's so much you can do with an email.
Yeah.
Makes things a lot easier.
Right. Yes.
Cool. And all right, we're going to be jumping into questions from our audience
Hmm.
soon. I have one last
All
question for
right.
you. What has
Okay.
been the most important learning you've had in your career?
I think I want this to be fun. So I think life cycle marketing is the career for those who just love so much data and want to do a lot of things. Because with life cycle marketing, right, you can go from sign up to retention, and you can play with a lot of different parts. So like, probably the downside, and not really a downside, there is like tons of work to be done, but that's the fun part if you love your work. So yeah, I think that has been like, one of the most important learning that I have. And for those who have this love for learning, or a yearning for experimentation, data and learning, so this is definitely a very, very interesting career for you. It will fulfill you. And yeah, like, why I've stayed for my client for years, because there's just so much to do. So yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Awesome. And there's so much to do, and you can measure your results, which is really cool too, right? It's not like in a lot
Yeah.
of other marketing roles, it's not
Hmm.
that easy to measure what you're doing, but with life cycle, you can measure
Exactly.
everything.
Yes, it's not arts and crafts. And yeah, that's why the client would happily retain you if you have results. And also, disclaimer, I can't track data, but I have like a data guy who helps me track it. So that helps so much. Yeah.
So have your own data guy.
Mm. Yeah, the client has.
Great
So I'm
advice.
lucky. Yeah, I don't know that part. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So I do
Mhm.
have a few questions from our audience. So
All
Joy
right.
P asked, asked,
Mm-hmm.
do you tailor the onboarding process based on the customer's size, number of activations they have with you, and so forth?
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. So one of the rules I follow is each like SaaS is different. And even like, for example, two SaaS with 14-day trials, sometimes they have like a different activation. They need to do something extra. So I need really to tailor that one. And some SaaS have like for example, like a hybrid. So they have a paid trial, but after that they will be free. So those are the nuances. So I really have to tailor it. So
Mhm.
the short answer is yes. Yeah.
Cool. Lynn M asked, how do you
Mhm.
ensure that the onboarding experience is tailored to each customer's specific use case and goals?
That the onboarding is tailored to each. Oh, the use cases. So if I were to tailor the entire onboarding experience to a use case, then we would have a lot of like flows and sequences. So sometimes I really don't tailor it to use case because that would be too specific and too um I don't know, maybe too much. Probably for the SaaS that I work with, but I can see that working with other SaaS. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so I tailor it basically just on like the jobs to be done. So I want to keep it also simple. So another rule that I follow is we need to keep the onboarding flow simple in order not to overwhelm also like the devs, the customer support, and of course yourself also to track everything. And because whenever when some onboarding flows break, so you really have to check in like every, I don't know, month or so to make sure that hey, is everything okay, is everything still working, firing and all. So as much as possible, if you could tailor it, or you could keep it simple. If you could use one flow for most ICPs, then that would be perfect. But I have some clients who requested for different flows for each ICP or use case. So that is for really sophisticated SaaS.
Mm-hmm.
So if that happens, if that is a requirement, then yeah, I would happily do so. But it would take a lot of time to have everything in place. Yeah.
Cool. Oh, wow. These are the
Mhm.
questions from our audience. I was thinking that I'm curious about one last thing, if that's okay.
Sure.
I'll ask you one last question. So,
Yeah.
in your point of view as a consumer, what would you
Mhm,
like the
mhm.
future of marketing as a whole to be like?
Marketing as a whole, maybe fun. I don't know. Not especially B2B marketing. They're not really fun, but they're starting to be fun right now, right? Because some they sound too robotic or too boring, and I really don't understand what they're trying to ask me to do. So,
Mhm.
and I end up not doing what they ask me to do because I don't understand what they're saying, and they're not doing it as exciting as it should be. Because
Mhm.
onboarding also you need to make it sound really exciting. Just connect your credit card should be exciting. So yeah, hopefully in the future, um, yeah, I think some are already doing fun marketing. Yeah, and relevant also. I don't want to be bombarded by spam. That's why I don't want to also spam my clients subscribers. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's
Hmm.
a great thing to do to put yourself in their shoes, and just
Yeah.
like empathy can drive so many changes into like small details that make a huge difference
Yes.
in the experience that you're offering. So,
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
Aiza, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for openly sharing your experience with us
Hmm.
and this project
Hmm.
specifically. It's so interesting. I'm sure there's even more layers underneath, and I'm so curious about all of them. But I'm going to invite anyone who's been here with us today that
Hmm.
to connect with you on LinkedIn. And maybe if they have any questions, they might just want to send you a DM. I'm sure you'll be happy with that. And
Yes. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, and then keep the conversation going. I think that's also
Hmm.
one thing that we want to do, like just make sure that we have we have a community growing of life cyclists that know
Yeah.
how not only know how to do their job amazingly, but
Mm-hmm.
also know how to reach out, know how to ask for help, and to
Yeah.
learn from each other and just grow together. So
Mm-hmm.
thank you so much for
Thank you,
coming here
Mariana.
today.
Yeah. And if ever they want the worksheet, they could just DM me also. And yeah, I'm also thankful that you have invited me here to kickstart the this show. So super honored, and I am actually excited for the next episodes because I want to learn also from fellow life cyclists.
Cool. Awesome. Yes, we'll love to
Yeah,
have you in the audience as well. And thank you so
great.
much. All right.
Thank
Have a great
you.
evening.
You too, guys. Bye.
Bye.